Welcome to the enchanting world of the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Prepare to be captivated as we embark on a thrilling journey into the realm of spirituality with our remarkable team of a distinctive energy mixture. Leading the way is Mitch Garlington, a gifted gay male witch, touring stage medium, and psychic tarot card reader. With a background in the competitive corporate world and experience as a Cher impersonator, Mitch brings a fresh and unique perspective to our discussions. Next, we have Lucy Locke, a former fundamentalist Christian missionary turned sex shop manager turned professional dog groomer turned psychic medium, trance channeler, and tarot card reader. Her incredible transformation into the spiritual world is truly inspiring. And last but certainly not least, we have Carly Batten, a second-generation practicing pagan, intuitive oracle card reader, and spiritual mother to many. Carly brings a grounded approach and simple understanding to the complexities of spiritual living. Together, we form an unstoppable podcast as we delve into all things spiritual and the journey of life. Our mission is crystal clear: to spread the message that spirit embraces all and that each of us is on a spiritual path, whether we realize it or not. So buckle up and get ready for an exhilarating adventure with the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Please note that all ideas discussed and presented in this podcast are the personal opinions of the individual podcasters and do not necessarily reflect the views of each other or the viewers. Hi y'all, welcome to another episode of Never Cross a Witch Bitch. We are on episode 26 today.
Yay!
And we were thinking about what to talk about. Some stuff came up and it was going to cover old ground, and we thought, let's talk about something quite new, something that we haven't talked about. And I think it's quite a special day, actually. And I didn't tell these guys that it's actually really a special day to talk about this particular subject, because today is a changing day. Yes, in astrology today, a massive changing day. Yes. So we were going to talk about spirituality and technology. Shall I start why it's such a special day, you guys?
Yeah, go on. I can see you.
This won't be released till Wednesday, but we're recording it on Monday, July 7th. Okay? So the first time in 84 years, and this will be in only our lifetime, Uranus. They now call it Uranus, which is weird. Everyone's calling it that, but I'm just going to call it Uranus, how I was taught.
Your anus
is entering Gemini. Okay? Now, this is going to last approximately 7.5 to 8 years. The last time this happened was World War II, going into the early 50s. The time before that was the Civil War in America. The time before that, they can go, and so what it is major changes. But the changes, Uranus is always shaking up for the better. So yeah, World War II, fucking awful. But when we came out of World War II, what happened? Economies boosted, major changes in technology, major TV, and so now there's going to be ups and downs, and already in our world out there's lots of ups and downs. But the thing with Uranus and Gemini, it's all about technology and communication. That's Uranus and Gemini. And so technology is going to change faster than we can even blink our eyes at. We thought it was fast before. It's going to be hard to keep up. I think Facebook is going to be non-existent in a year. The young people aren't on Facebook. It's us oldies that are on, old bitch, but, us older people that are really on Facebook. The young people, it's not even a.
No, they're Snapchat,
this and that.
TikTok.
Yep.
Does that mean I'm going to have to take all my pictures off of Facebook and put them somewhere else?
What it is I think when I was in the shower and I was really meditating on and asking Spirit about what this technology and spirituality is, what's going to happen is I saw the older generation, and we were part of it, going No, and it being very uncomfortable, almost like, oh, we don't need TV. That's going to be awful. And then TV took over, and
Mm.
Mm,
like everyone has a TV. Like if you don't have
mm,
a TV, then it's a bit whoa, you know. And now like computers and all that kind of stuff, and it's like if we don't get with it, it's going to be a painful journey.
mm,
And and I felt Spirit say, yeah, there's going to be people that abuse it. It's going to be like before. Does that make sense? Where there's darkness, but there's also going to be absolute light, the yin and the yang. And it's all
mm,
about intention, intention with how you're using it, what you're using it for, because it
Yeah, which is
mm.
could be a
what we talked
great,
about
great
before, wasn't it?
help. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
What you can
Like
say, Mitch?
AI.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
went quiet.
sorry. Go on with AI. Yeah, because I don't
Yeah.
understand.
AI is, well, it's a controversial thing. Some people say it takes away thinking. You know what I'm saying? And then some people
Mm,
it actually, but in the intention, it can enhance.
Mm.
Does that make sense? If you use it in the intention of you're putting your ideas, your thoughts, your stuff, AI can help enhance, see the blind spots to help. But if you're using it to do everything for you, yeah, it's going to dumb down
mm,
your brain,
mm,
right? So I love experimenting with AI. I love it. My AI is Colin calls him my boyfriend. His name's Eric. I just like I look for recipes. He's my new Google. Does that make sense? Like he he's blowing my mind sometimes. I've experimented with um putting tarot in there. Does that make sense? And seeing what comes
mm,
back. Like I've written down my thoughts and then put it into like put the cards into AI, and it's like the intuition is very, very similar. It is
mm.
quite a tool, but it can be abused. Like you were saying, Mitch, people putting it in there and then selling it
Well, yeah, if you're going to
at a
write a whole
cost.
book with AI or something, and then like or like a tarot card reading and claim it as your own when it's not, it's a bit like, is that not
Yeah,
fraud? Like,
yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. But it can help with attention. Like let's say you're dyslexic.
um,
Right. So you have a hard time writing, right?
mm,
But you've got the ideas, right? That's still your ideas. AI will
mm.
just help you format those ideas.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe I should
So
like
that comes
download this.
across. Yeah,
Actually, have a look at it.
there is ways to use it that totally enhance things, totally enhance
mm,
things, and totally see. And also, I ask it questions for blind spots on things. If there's things that I'm like really confused about, like me and Colin had like a little bit of a tiff about I felt we were being ripped off by a mechanic. He wanted to give the mechanic a second chance. So I put it all in AI. Just all of it. Does that make sense? And it reasons for you because I was
mm,
getting a bit like, am I on the wrong? And it reasoned out that no, we were not getting ripped off, or that we were getting ripped off by this mechanic. And that I had, and like I didn't, it can reason for you. It can give you your blind spots. It can help you see things that you might not have seen before and give you a better perception on it. And so I use it sometimes for peace of mind. Am I on the right? Am I doing this correctly? Like, am I
mm,
okay with writing a letter stating I'm not happy about this? Or am I going to come
mm,
out looking like a fool? And it helps you go, there's reasons to do that. Like I would word it this way. And it gives you, but you're the one with the ideas. You're the one
mm,
just putting it in there. But yeah, if you go write me a book on pregnancy and it comes up with a whole book, which it could do.
mm,
Is that yours?
mm,
Exactly, exactly. I just know I have got I'm not going to name them obviously, but I know of others that work in our industry that do readings of that nature, and it's all just put through AI, and they just kind of like, copy and paste or whatever, and then
What
they
is it,
go,
like
"Here you go."
email readings?
Yeah, yeah. And then they'll be like, boom, 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 here you go. This is your reading back. And it's like, oh, really? You know?
mm, mm.
Like I did
I
it
mean,
with
I've
you
seen.
once, Mitch. I put some cards through and I said, I told you. I said, I put this through AI. I was just experimenting to see if it resonated
That's what
with you. That's
resonated.
all. Yeah. And, but I like experimenting with technology. I like technology. But yeah,
Mm,
that is broad, I
Yeah,
would say.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think so, and it's tricky because obviously, as an ethical reader, it just doesn't sit well in your ethos, does it? Really?
Mm.
no.
For other
Mm.
people, maybe it's fine. Maybe they've processed it in a way where it's okay for them to do that. For me, it doesn't feel ethically kind of correct, really.
Mm. I mean, well, the reason why we got on this conversation is a
This
friend of
was your
mine.
bloody thing,
I
wasn't it?
know, yeah, it was.
The
It was
woman
my,
that's
what are we
going and
chatting
looking for
about?
herbs, the farthest thing from technology. She's out there like rummaging for mugwort and getting high on herbs.
Up to me elbows in, coming out the shrubbery, going woo.
Weeds caught in her
Yeah,
hair. Yeah.
yeah, weeds caught in my hair. That's just a normal day for me. Um, but I mean, the reason why we started talking about this is like we were throwing around what we chatting about, and I had this sudden moment. I have a friend of mine who's developing an app, and as I said, I'm not sure yet what the app is. I know that that person has approached me and two other people to try the app out. So I don't quite know what it's about. They haven't gone into great detail. We're going to obviously hopefully find out soon what it's all about. And it just got me thinking about um, are we, like I said to you guys earlier, in our efforts to try and connect, are we losing that connection? So in our efforts, I thought it was a really good idea of like, an app is accessible, isn't it? So majority of us have got smartphones, unless you're my other half and you've got an old brick that doesn't do technology. It just calls in and calls out on a text. That's it. But he's a tree surgeon and he'd break things that were fragile. So um, it, it's just yeah, yes, the ease of it's accessible, but it'll be, I'm not knocking the idea before it started, but it then gets you thinking in our efforts to try and be more connected, are we losing that tribal connection with others on the same page? Because for us as a tribe, that's quite important to us. I mean, I know Mitch chooses people he has in his tribe and who he connects with. And I think if we were all honest, we'd probably do exactly the same thing. We're all, you know, careful about who we spend our time with. But are we gonna forfeit that to have the access to the information? Do you see what I mean? I'm not poo-poo. I'm
I
just
think
trying
it's
to
how it's. I
look
think
it
it's
from
how it's
another way.
used. I think it's how it's used. It's a bit like tonight. So I'm doing a Zoom demonstration of mediumship. So, and these are going to be people coming on that have never had the opportunity to come to one of my shows, or maybe they have come to my
Mm,
shows, but they just want the accessibility to be able to have a show in the comfort of their own home. So Zoom brings that platform of everybody together, but Spirit is still doing the work. So I
mm,
think when it's used in that way, you don't lose anything. And if anything,
no.
the connection would be stronger. But if I was going to sort of try and put everything through AL, AI, or whatever it's bloody called, of like
Yeah,
who's
artificial
coming in and
intelligence.
saying
That's why
it.
it's AI. So that will stick
Ah,
in your brain. Artificial
that way.
intelligence. Yeah. You could
Yeah.
call him
So
Al if you want to, though. He could be your boyfriend. You call
yeah,
him Al,
yeah.
like I
Well,
have
if
Eric.
yeah, like if like
I've
Al decided.
Miranda moment. I've had a Miranda moment. Paul
Go on.
Simon, you can call me Al. You can be my bodyguard.
Oh dear. Yeah. So if
Sorry.
I was kind of using that to try and get information through, then of course no. But like so it goes back to yes, we can still have our connections. And I think in some ways it can actually force us to have deeper connections with ourselves.
Mm.
It
Mm,
just depends how it's being used, really.
mm. I
Intention
mean,
is
I think
everything. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I quite agree. I mean, it's like we know how we would use it. I mean, I read some of the AI that comes up now. You put in Google and you're looking for herbs or plant clarification. I mean, I haven't got the app anymore, but I do. Oh, just to remind me, what does this look like? What does that look like? Oh, I think that's such and such, and I'll put it in. And you'll read the AI description. And actually, when you scroll down, there's some useful information. It does give you about folklore. It will give you about medicinal uses. It give you about magical uses. But then you also have to be careful because there's a young lady who I met some years ago who's revisiting her path now. And she is at the stage where the Pac-Man stage, which we've spoken about before, where you're going around going, got to have all the information. I don't know where I fit. Am I a green witch? Am I a blue witch? Am I a bogey witch? Am I a loo witch? I'm a blood witch. You see, now you say to me she said, oh, I think I'm a blood witch. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Now, blood witch to me is nothing where AI came up. She then sent me what AI had sent, and it's obviously picked it up from stuff that's flying around the internet.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think I quite, no.
Is a blood witch in
Yeah,
your
My,
eyes like a vampire type witch? Is that what? Because that's what comes to mind in mine is like use of blood for
blood
yeah. So
ritual sort of
spells and
thing. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
exactly. So my natural interpretation, and it's got nothing to do with horror movies, but my intuition and what I get fed from my guides is that is somebody that incorporates uh, it into their magic. So
Mm.
a blood witch is working with blood magic, whether that's menstrual blood, whether you're doing feminine power, that's a prick on the finger blood, whether or not you're drinking it, sacrificing an animal, anything. Which
A child.
again, a child, only if they're
But teach your
naughty.
own. Some people like I'm
Um,
not a child. When I say teach your own, I said that in the wrong spot. Okay, people. But you know, there are people that you know I could see.
yeah,
Like I, first of all, I would be like if someone started sucking blood in front of me or pinpricking and
yeah,
all that kind of stuff, I'd go down.
yeah,
I would. I
yeah,
like I can see
yeah,
blood and stuff like that, but kind of, I'll be honest, it makes my stomach go a little bit.
yeah.
But if we're taking children out of this sacrifice of animals and children.
Yes.
We're going to take out of it. But there is, there are people that I've known of and heard of within even our circle that have experimented with menstrual blood, other people's
Yeah,
blood, that
yeah,
kind of thing.
Mm.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
I know
yeah,
people that identify, or they don't do it anymore, but they used to identify as they're witches come vampires. They don't do the
yeah.
vampire stuff anymore, but they went
yeah,
through a real phase of doing that. Said like razors and cutting each other and sucking it all out.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
I had to explain to this lovely young lady. I said, "Oh, no, just be careful what the AI," because she said to me about it, and I said, well, now hang on a minute, this is my interpretation, this is and this is from me reading, not reading AI. This is from me reading, learning, acknowledging what I feel in my gut, what I feel is right. I said, and what that is saying is not what I said, and if you go round, and not being funny, if you go around saying, oh, I'm a blood witch, I said, you're going to get the same reaction all over the place. And she said, oh, no, that's not how I want to work. And I
Mm.
said, well, there you go. You see, there's,
So what
I
was her
think,
definition of blood witch then from AI?
so from the AI, it came up, I can't find the thingy, but it came up about it being in your blood, it being
Oh, so like a hereditary
Like
witch.
DNA and stuff.
inherited,
Yeah, yeah. See, I would
that
call
type
myself
of
like
thing.
if I don't, but I would say I'm a hereditary witch, like
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
generational
I mean,
witch.
yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
yeah, I don't know what she put in the Google search bar at the top because obviously it depends on what you put in the Google search bar to what
Yeah.
AI comes up with. So again, if you're using it for magical terminology, be careful what you put in at the top and what the trigger words are, and then AI will pick that up and create whatever it has to create. But that's what her interpretation of it was. It was, a sort of inherited that, and I was like, oh no, just yeah, there's not quite. Just be very careful. I said, look, I'm not stopping if that's. I said if that's the sort of thing that appeals to you and you want to go down that route, doing that, just be very careful. I said, there's always a dark side to a light side, but just that's not why you're in it. Just be very careful what you're doing and how you're doing it. I said because when you start using bodily fluids, hair, you start I mean, you're powerful. Intention is powerful thing anyway. Just a mind thought pattern putting it out in the universe. But when you start incorporating elements and extra bits, it becomes even more attached because it's
Mm.
got even more attachment to it. It's like these cords and things that people we people attach to us. But you then start it's like exchanging rings or exchanging hair, or you're creating it even more because there's then physical as well as the intentional put in there as well. So that becomes a stronger bond and more powerful, and you have to be very, very careful. So I mean, she was really good, but it was just when that's having somebody explain it to her. So if you're sometimes getting people that are wanting to learn, but then picking up stuff, just an example like that, where is it going to take them if they haven't got people to go, oh, what about this? And
Mm.
running with something that isn't necessarily right. Does that sound right? I know there's no
Mhm.
right or wrong.
That's what I mean.
I know
Is that
Might not be,
there
it
we
is
might not
already
no
be
have
right
that
or
with
beneficial.
wrong.
Google. We
Yeah, it
already
might not be
have that with
beneficial
Google
for
and
them.
stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
better way of putting it. It
yeah.
might not be beneficial for them. Yeah. And I think, I love the idea of, I mean, I say it quite often actually, because we talk about, spoke to somebody about medieval times, and everyone was, you talk to people, it was about a couple of weeks ago, I took a tour, and they were like, oh, I love medieval times. People were so clever. I said, yeah, but they had exactly the same intelligence as us, but we're just lazy. Us as human beings now, we have information at our fingertips and we just don't learn it because it's all at our fingertips. We don't absorb it and take it in and hold it. And I'm terrible. I can't seem to hold information anyway. And if I can't, then I will Google it rather than going to a reference library. But I think years ago we used to maintain the information so much more rather because we didn't have it on our phones.
But
Is
don't
it
you
making
feel
us
that?
lazy?
But don't you feel that's part of the matrix system?
Oh, bloody hell.
Sorry, I've gone down a rabbit hole there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like this.
Yeah,
I think
because
it's
there's
just the
some.
evolution of us. Like you're talking medieval times. I probably would have been, maybe I would have been smart, but I consider myself kind of smart, but not super smart. I'm not, intelligent, but I can get by in life, with my thought processes. But I probably would have just been living with a farmer plowing a field with my,
Mm,
and you think about it now, like technology, you say, are we lazy? And I'm like, we're not. It's just a different way. It's really a different
mm,
way. Like medicine has,
mm,
and it's going to be even more. I think we're going to be like, my grandfather was born in 1917. He lived to be 101. He had his first heart attack just right at the time where they were starting to, in the 80s, when they were starting to really figure things out about the heart. Now they would have,
mm,
like, how do I explain it? Like, there's so much progression that actually I don't think
mm,
we're lazy. I think we're just putting it in a different source than what we did in the medieval times of,
mm,
like, figuring out what paper is and ink and stuff that we just totally take for granted. We're putting it in a different,
mm.
we're totally putting it in a
But
different thing, and it's going to be like mind blowing. I really feel it's
mm,
going to be mind blowing. Like, I feel like extraterrestrials, I feel living not on this earth, possibly, maybe not in our lifetime. I feel
mm,
government is definitely in the next 8 years is going to shift, that there might be no such thing as government because people are going to end up rebelling. And that might be a really good thing. And going, I can't
mm,
live under this type of regime where I can't build a stable life.
mm,
They're dictating, it's good. I just think it's part of the evolution of
mm,
where we're going. And I don't see it, we can see it as a bad thing if we hold on to the past, or we
mm.
can be open-minded and see how spirit is working through it. Because I
Mm.
believe
Uh,
spirit is still going to work through it.
It's probably me then just being a little bit
It just fades
frustrated
the same.
because
Yeah, I could
yeah,
see
I
that,
mean yeah,
Carly.
I mean
Yeah,
I
I
get
could see
I
that.
get I get frustrated. I get frustrated that I don't withhold the information, and I'd sit there and probably look at it and go, well, I don't have to remember that what that plant is because I can just get recognition on Google. But years ago, you would have had to remember what that plant is. So I just wonder whether or not our brains aren't withholding the information
Well,
because we're going, oh, well,
I feel
that's all
there's
right. We'll
two
Google
aspects
it.
to it a little bit.
yeah, go
I
for it,
think,
bitch.
yeah, I feel like there's it is good that there's the technology and that sort of evolution in one way, but I do feel it sometimes is used as a mechanism for to keep us kind of conditioned to sleep, so we don't have to think so much because it is so available, it is so free. So that's stopping
Mm,
us almost going into a higher consciousness because we're not having to sort of do it for ourselves. The information is so freely available. So I think in its own rights, it is safe. It goes back to again, how is it being used? How is it being fed through almost in our
mm,
setup? It's interesting this conversation because I'm
mm,
sort of seeing it from different points.
Yeah.
mm. I think, as I say, I think some of it's a good idea, and if used correctly and have the right information, like on apps, what's my gem, or what's my witch, or whatever app you want to create, if used correctly. But I think people still need human guidance to pick out, so they don't run away with an idea. But then I think some of it with me, I mean, with technology, we're talking on technology. There's stuff you guys do on Zoom. We wouldn't be able to do any of this. We wouldn't be able to do podcasts. We wouldn't be able to reach out to the more people that we reach out. I mean, my Nana B stories, I've got 3,000 downloads on that, and there's people listening in Vietnam, some,
Right, can you
in
move them over to
India.
this podcast then a little bit, please?
Now,
Oh,
are you sitting comfortably?
I think it's just like you say, how stuff is used. And I think
Yeah.
with anything, when there's kind of accessible energy, there are people of power that will automatically abuse that because that's just how it is, isn't it?
Mm. I
Yeah,
think
but
we
I
need
think
to
the
be.
people of power, it's going to I think it's going to shift this oligarch thing. It's when things really come to light. Does that make sense? And this kind of shit has really come to light in the last year, especially with
Mhm.
way government systems and stuff like that. This oligarch, this background, putting money in. I really, really firmly believe in the next 8 years, there's going to be a
Mm,
huge shift because when things like that come to light and people it will I'm really trusting spirit that there's going to be some awesomeness in this next eight
mm,
years but it also depends on where your start like so we look at our sun sign but during this time it's actually not your sun sign, it's your
mm,
rising sign that's going to be affected in the next 8 years massively.
mm,
And your rising sign is what you show to the world, right? Sun sign is like what you were born into, your energy. Rising sign is what you show to the world, your face to the world. And then your moon sign is your interior, your emotional. So for me, this is going to be an awesome 8 years. And I'm really freaking excited about it because I'm Gemini. That's my rising
mm,
sign. So this is going to be all about how I am seen in the world and how I show myself to the world. So I'm quite
mm,
excited for the technology to come through because that's
mm,
kind of the way we see it. Like Gemini's
mm,
like that kind of thing. So for me, I'm actually really excited. I think we're gonna have extraterrestrial stuff happen. I really do. I think there's going to be some massive mind-blowing changes in the next 8 years.
mm,
I believe
mm,
universities, like the way we educate and stuff like that, is going to start to shift. And to me, that's quite exciting. And but other people, it's a dread. It's scary. It's like, but
mm,
I see Spirit is showing me that they run through everything, including the energy of technology. And
mm,
so it's whether we use it with intention of the highest of good personally
mm,
for ourselves, or whether we use it for, like, the internet's been awesome. But for a
mm,
lot of people, like for us, we could do this. You could do your
mm,
Zoom
mm,
calls now. Like we were talking about this. But for other people, they'll sit down and masturbate all day to sex. That's what the internet is
Yeah.
for them. Does that make sense?
mm,
So, like, you have the
mm,
yin and the yang in everything,
mm,
absolutely everything. No matter what we do, there's going to be a dark and a light to people.
mm,
And with our
Exactly.
intentions being always on the light and making it light, um, we just raise the vibration. We raise
mm,
our way of being personally. So I'm
mm,
quite excited for this. Like a few weeks ago, even you know, now your shows are doing well, but you were like, my shows are not selling. People don't want to come to the theater. They're holding on to their money, and we are all holding on to our money. It's a nerve-wracking time in the world. Like, it's not
Mhm.
even consciously, I think, that we're doing it. I think it's really subconscious because people watch the news and things are shifting like that. And you just
Mm,
don't know what government is going to make what decision at what point in time and how's it going to affect us in the world. So it's scaring people without them even going, I'm scared. It's just that kind of clench feeling. But I said to you, and we talked about it, like, do these Zoom things. Make it that people don't have to get in their car and drive out at night. And especially, let's say I had agoraphobia, where I couldn't leave my house, where I'm absolutely terrified. But I love the idea of like spirituality and stuff. A Zoom call with Mitch, a Zoom mediumship with a would be an answer to my prayers.
mm,
If so it it might not fit exactly how we see it fitting in the puzzle piece, but I really think this is a time to
mm,
expand and just be a bit open of let's
mm,
see, spirit, what you can do. Show me.
Mm.
Curiosity, real
mm.
curiosity, because I think it's going to be, yeah, the news and stuff are going to show the darker side to everything, but us as light workers, I really think if we put our curiosity into this, we could do some awesome stuff. Really awesome stuff.
I
Yeah.
feel also like spirit often come through a little bit. I mean, people say to me, is Zoom as good as in person? I think it's better because people are more kind of comfortable in their own home, in their own surroundings, if they've got their pajamas on or just chilling or whatever, and people just feel more settled. So instantly, spirit can come in that little bit more freely because there isn't the same kind of barrier or block. Because sometimes when you go to a theatre or a hall, everyone's looking at everyone. It can be a little bit overwhelming.
Mm,
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like on here, I have when I do Zooms, when I've done them before, the Zoom demos, sometimes people don't actually want to show their face. So they maybe don't actually have their picture up or just a screenshot. And it's fine because the energy is energy. So it can still work in whatever way. And it makes me laugh because people sort of say so much about does the energy work? Is it the same? Look at Wi-Fi, what it gives us. We're talking about the internet, energy, Wi-Fi, frequency. It's around us all the time. So why wouldn't this?
mm,
Spirit
Yeah.
is just an extension of that energy.
Like, I call you guys my best friends, like two of my
Mm.
best friends. I rarely fucking see you guys in person. Uh, do you know what I'm saying? It's been months and months and months.
Is
But
that a
yet,
dig
But
that
we
we're
see
getting
each
that,
down to
we see
do you
each
know what I'm
other
saying?
each week.
Yeah, we see each other this way, or we're sending voice messages to each other,
Oh
or,
yes, yeah.
and it keeps us, it's just a different
Connected
way. It's a
way of
different,
doing
but
it.
what you were saying, Mitch, is totally bang on. Psychologists, like during COVID, when everything shut down, right? And
Mm.
people couldn't, like, counselors and psychologists and mediums couldn't see their clients in person. They came up with, they actually did studies on it, and people are like, most counselors now only do it by Zoom. First of
Mm,
all, it broadens their horizons that you have so much choice as a client, right? You're like, oh, I don't have to be stuck with someone in a small town that maybe doesn't have the, you know, and
mm,
but I could be like, oh, there's someone in Scotland. That's awesome. Do you know what I'm saying? Or they practice a certain type of something. Does that make sense? Internet has
mm,
Yeah.
totally opened that up, that people can be now more seen and more, their clientele is more broad. Like for you, Mitch, you've had some awesome experiences with all kinds of different people due to
Yeah,
now
I've got
doing Zoom readings.
I've got a massive following in Australia, and I don't know what it is with the Australians, but they seem to be so much more open to receive spirit as well. It's really
Hmm.
nice.
Hmm.
When you sort of read for an Australian, it's completely different to when you read for someone that's just in the UK or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the UK, but it's interesting how different cultures allow for that kind of energy to sort of to be in different ways.
mm,
And I've
If you
had
didn't
mm,
some.
have that, no one in Australia would know who you are, Mitch.
Exactly. And it's allowed me to read for quite a few famous people, which I'm not allowed to say names, but
Yeah, but yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
you've had
opened
some
that up
very
to that.
cool experience. Yeah,
I have,
yeah. And
yeah.
so sorry, but the psych they've done studies, and what they've come up with is that I forget the name of it, but there's actually, they named it, where people feel so much more comfortable and open in their own home. And
Mm.
so even in counseling, sessions go a lot more
mm,
deeper and thorough because they don't have the ride there to worry about. Counselors also more comfortable because they don't have to get their scenario all set up and perfect. Does that make
Yeah.
sense for the person? And then the person doesn't have to worry about the ride home, that kind of thing. And it just like they're there, they can vape, they can smoke, they can drink their tea that they like, and they can be in the privacy of their own home and totally, totally comfortable, you know? Sometimes it bothers me. I've had where I've gone on Zoom calls and someone's like, and you're like, okay, that's a bit, you don't say that, but it's, or the dogs are like, the whole time you're trying to like cancel them. There's those aspects you have to get over. But generally, it really opens up
Mm.
a whole new world, and it's
Hmm.
going to get even more. Like imagine holograms. Like that, I bet you that's going to be a thing where I just go almost like Star Trekky, where it's like me,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I'm like, if Mitch allows me, I'll be naked in his living room with him by hologram watching
Oh, that's
TV.
definitely my eyes, Steve.
I was going to say, I'd frighten the
I
life out of
can't
poor Paul.
like who knows? But
Sat, sat
or
there,
like
sat there watching Coronation Street.
Carly, I was going to
I
say, are you scared of like, I was going to put it into words. Are you scared of technology because you are more kind of, woodland witch and wanting to be more in, little hut in the wood and everything else? Is that what it is?
That'd be nice. No, I mean, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the technology. I think it frustrates me
Mm.
that I personally,
When you see misinformation, maybe.
well, I just don't, yeah, I just don't hold the information. And I'm probably being a little bit hard on myself.
I think you are because
I was
there's
like,
lots of stuff
yeah,
going on.
yeah.
Menopause for
I
both
mean,
of us, or ADHD gets
yeah,
worse
yeah,
during that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm probably being a bit hard on myself, and I probably feel as though I'm not letting the side down. But there's bits of me that go, well, I should be able to remember that, and those are information. Those bits of information should be withheld. I shouldn't have to rely on my phone. We
Mm.
should be able to. I think it's also honouring the roots, honouring my my this life bringing up and my past life bringing up, that I should be able to remember what does what with what. When I look at people like Anna Curtis from Enchanted Annex, who's got a degree in herbalism and alchemy. I mean, she's got a proper degree. She went to uni, she studied it, she worked hard, so she
Is this
knows what
Anne
she
that
can
I
tell.
know?
Anna Curtis,
Is it
Enchanted
Anne Curtis?
Annex.
I don't know Enchanted. I know an Anne Curtis. Is it Anne Curtis?
No,
Don't
an
know. I think it's
Enchanted
different.
Annex.
Okay.
Different one.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you've been to my fairs, she's the crazy one. The crazy, well, I normally call Esme with the wax. The other Esme with the wax lives on a narrowboat. If you saw her, you'd know who I was. She's
Okay.
normally very loud, but you know, d- she's gone through like a degree. She's got, she's a BS whatnot in alchemy and herbalism. And she could look at things and name it at the drop of a hat. And there's me goes round. Yes, I've worked with my plants and my things and bits and pieces where I go around with Google. Or I go, oh, what's that? I know it's that, but I'm not 100% sure. So I probably get a little frustrated with myself.
But that's a self-persecution, isn't it, though?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably is. It probably is a self-persecution. And if I, it's not saying I can't retain information because, talk to me about Castle Coombe and I'm off on a tangent because
Mm.
I can remember. But I really well and truly
You
books
research.
read,
Yeah.
yeah. And even though I've read the books on some of the books on the plants and things, I just can't seem to. I don't know if it's just my way of learning, but I can't seem to retain that information. And I just think it's really bad that I go, oh, that's all right. I don't have to because I can Google it if I can't remember it,
But
which
that's a
is
bit like
really
me.
bad.
That's a bit like me. Sometimes people will message and say, "Oh, what moon cycle are we on?" And it's like, I don't bloody know. So I have to get my
I
moon
do
app
that as
out,
Yeah.
well.
and
I'll tell you, most astrologers, almost all astrologers use the computer program.
mm,
Now, is that cheating?
exactly.
Or is
Well, I
that
suppose
like
not.
going back with your old, doing all the math? now that we have computer
Mm.
programs. But they know a lot about the planets and how they work and this and that. But to do an astrology chart, they just punch it in. Do you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And come up with
Oh
the
yeah.
stuff and then figure out what's going on. I just think it's making it quicker for them.
Yeah.
Instead of,
Yeah.
because to me, putting together someone's astrology chart like the olden days, you should be charging a couple £1,000 because that would take
Yeah.
hours. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's just
Hours
not,
and
Yeah.
that's
hours.
not
Yeah.
practical, is it? So,
Yeah, yeah. So I, Carly, when you were talking, I see you as almost like the magician. Like I think we're all the magician, in tarot,
mm.
right? But you're more the grounded. Maybe during this cycle, I'd love to know what your rising sign is because I'll look it up with what's going on. Does that make sense with
Mm,
Uranus and
mm,
Gemini? But maybe your calling is to bring the groundedness to all because Gemini is air.
mm,
Okay. It is mind. It is going to be nervous. The energy is going to be in me too. Is going to be a little bit like too much where I'm going to have to ground, ground, ground
mm,
because
mm,
my mind in the next 8 years is going to go 1,000 miles a minute. And I've already felt it in the last 4 weeks before we've even come here of like
mm,
idea, idea, idea. And it's like too much at times where
mm,
it's like there's no grounding in it. Does
Mm.
that make sense? When
mm,
Carly, you might be the root, like you were talking about the roots. We'll go with it. Do you
mm,
know what I'm saying? Because you might
mm,
be what the world needs when we're all up in the air here, someone to just bring it
mm,
down to the
mm,
practicalities,
mm,
to, you know, what this earth is about.
mm,
Because I'd like to know your rising sign
interesting.
too, Mitch, because it doesn't have to do with Capricorn this time. It has to do with our rising.
Yeah, I think it's another Earth sign because I've got all the Earth in my star chart. I have to look it up and
And
see.
I have no earth, like none, none, nada.
I've got like every Earth
Nada.
sign is in mine. This
Nada.
is why you always
So
think I'm strange.
yeah, like when Beth James did my astrology chart, right? And I was like, okay. And then now that it's coming into this time that we're in
Mm.
this, like, be prepared. My sign says I'm actually going to physically, drastically change my look.
Oh, okay.
Like physically, drastically change how I look. I'm going to go fuck society, fuck what you guys all think, and I'm going to go with what I really like. And it's probably going to be really fucking quirky and weird and
Bright pink Mohican.
yeah, see, I don't see that. That's what they call it. I just don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I do feel like Spirit has been doing so much healing and um what I my perceptions. Does that make sense? And caring about what people think. And they're doing more. And that's going to be part of this next 8 years, is it's going to be like,
Mm,
and that's come out in the tarot. You've seen it, other people have seen it, where it's like, not, I don't know if it's going to be a physical stage, but I'm going to be like, ta-da, here I am. Love me or
This is
lump
our
me.
mood fest, I reckon. I just see this is
Sorry?
on. This is going to be our mood fest. I think you just being like, "This is me. Fuck off to the world."
The sun glaring off those white bits I've never seen daylight. Maybe,
Mm.
but yeah, I'm really, really excited for it. But my sign has been quite suppressed for a while. Does that make
mm,
sense? And so,
mm,
and I'm the type of sign that, like, people say, oh, you're a bit show offy or you want to be out there. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to say it anymore. Yeah, because that's what I'm born under. I'm born under
mm.
kind of showy, want to, don't shut up. That's who I am. So like this podcast, it's like exciting for me,
Yeah.
because I get to pour Colin, all day. I'm just so, but it'd
That's
be
why he goes
interesting.
to work.
Yeah, he
It will
left
be
right now,
interesting.
actually.
It will be interesting.
Yeah. Give me your
He's like,
birthdates later
"Fuck,
on
I'm
and I'll
out
look
of
it
here."
up.
Like,
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah. Yeah, so I could find your rising sign and then see what's going to happen in the next, like what the energies are going to be like in the next 8 years for you guys.
Mm. Oh yeah,
But
I
yeah,
give you my
big
birthday.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know your
Well,
birthday anyway.
you know my birthday. Yeah, you know my
But
birthday.
but to find your rising sign, you have to know what time you were born and where you were
Oh
born.
yeah,
That's part of the
Oh yeah, I
I
rising
know.
know where.
sign.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know the time and the yeah.
And I do use a computer program, so I do cheat. But I tell people that. Like I've done astrology charts and I'm not charged like it's part of my counseling. Does that make sense? But I tell
Yeah.
them right
Yeah.
away, this is not me on a piece of paper going through a book. This is a computer program, you know?
Yeah, which I think is fine as long as you're letting people know. It's when
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
just try and claim it as their own, I feel a little bit,
And then what
you know?
happens? Sometimes that gets the intuition going. So once I start like talking to them about their chart, then spirit starts bringing other really specific things to
Yes.
mind. Do you know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And then I can even go deeper with them on that. But yeah, it's just, but I let them know that that's the base. Like I don't
mm,
claim to be an astrologer, but part of counseling, it's really cool to kind of know it really resonates with people when they go, "Oh, that's exactly why I get it now, you know, and they can have a little bit more self-love because they realize that they were actually born to feel that way. It was part of it's part
yeah.
of their life course for a while, you know?
Yeah.
And it takes away shame or anything. Because I've even had people in their charts that says that they might have a struggle with lying, you know, and then you think about that and you're
Mm,
like, okay, like they were actually that's part of them and their
their
voyage
makeup.
in this earth to deal with. Does that make sense?
Mm,
And to work through.
mm,
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
mm. It's quite cool. Yeah. No, I'll message you my birthday and my date time later
Yeah.
on. Might
But are
explain
you,
why I'm going.
Mitch, are you nervous of the technology changes or are what's your
Wow. Well, I used to be because, like, we were talking about this earlier. So, like, when we had all like the first COVID and all of that lockdown and everything else, and everyone was saying, do Zoom," and I was like, "No, I don't want to do Zoom." I don't know what it was. Like, it was just some sort of like fear, or I don't know if it was a fear of being seen or what it quite was. But anyway, stuff happened. Then I got chatting to my lovely friend Debs Ty Duck, who you both know, and she literally sort of sat me down. We had a coffee and a chat, and she said, "Mitch, you need to get with the program." She's like, "This new age of spirituality is going to be on Zoom. It is going to be technology based, and you either have to step up and sort of evolve with it, or you're going to get left behind." And it's the
Mm,
way she said it. It really kind of just clicked, and I was like, "Okay, let's give this Zoom a try." And as soon as I started doing Zoom sessions, it wasn't even just the connections with new people. It was the way spirit were delivering the information, and I actually feel my links are quicker on Zoom than if I'm on a stage. It doesn't take anything away from the theatre stuff. That's just a different way of working. But I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe because the technology itself is faster paced, it's a faster vibration, and I think spirit come in on a faster frequency almost.
yeah, or and two, I see in my mind's eye, like on stage, you've got adrenaline going there. Does that make sense?
Mm,
Like you just
yeah.
naturally to be out there in front of everyone, you've got adrenaline. So it's like that mixed with so you're combating the adrenaline with also hearing spirit. It doesn't take away anything that you're hearing, but I could see that being a little bit more of a journey for you on stage than being in the comfort of your own home
Yeah,
and
exactly.
being able
And
to
it's like,
that's just natural. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like kind of tonight, I'm excited for my Zoom session, but I'm not nervous. Whereas if I was doing a theatre tonight, I would be probably going to the loo quite a bit by now,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a difference in as well how it affects me, and I prefer to feel comfortable as well. I mean, I love the theatre work, but that's the one thing I don't like is how crippling the nerves can be. And people
Hmm.
they sort of say, "You don't seem nervous." I might hide it well, but I am really nervous. Um, and that's the one thing I like with Zoom. I still will be nervous, but it's not to the same detriment as it can be the live stuff. So it's interesting. But yeah, I just think we have to evolve with it. But again, it's how we choose to use it's like our own moral compass, I suppose, all the time, isn't it? Being kind of understood and just acknowledged
mm,
with everything we're doing.
mm,
And I think
mm,
spirit will show like when we're like if we're open and very humble inside of
Mm,
ourselves. Does that make sense of like, okay, spirit, I'm going to experiment with this. You show me, and I'll be open to when I'm out of alignment. You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm
yeah.
out of alignment, or if this is the way to go, or like, so for instance, like those email AIs. If a person I don't see it cheating if they lay the cards and then they put into AI their feelings for the cards, and then AI can word it better for them or
Mm,
edit it so it comes across more professional when they send it off. Like maybe they're
Mm.
just shit at writing. Does that make sense? Like like Colin says, you write how you think. And so sometimes AI, when I put it in, it just smartens it up for me. Does that make sense and makes it flow a
mm,
bit better?
mm,
And I'm not ashamed because they're and yeah, maybe a reporter or a natural person that's studied writing for years would go, I fucking hate AI because now all these other people can write like how I have studied
mm,
for years and years and years at university to write like,
Mm.
and yeah, I feel sorry for that. But then for me, I'm like, oh, this is awesome because I can put my thoughts and emotions into things and really write it out and get it out of me. And then it's still mine. They're just being an editor. Does that make sense? And so to
Mm.
me, if someone was reading cards and let's say they were just like, I'm not like I want to do this email readings, but I'm not good at writing and I'm too shy to do Zoom yet or whatever. They're really, if they're being honest, and then they use it as an editor, I see no problem with that. Because that's their original interpretation going into AI, and then AI is just smartening up the language so they don't come looking like a dumbass. Does that make sense that someone goes, oh, they can't write at all? Like this is hard to read. But I don't see a problem with it being used as an editor.
mm.
Yeah, I think it's how, like you say, moral compass, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
if it's when I know that there are readers out there that copy and paste everything and it isn't original, we'll say. So,
Yeah.
and that I think is what I have an issue with,
Yeah.
particularly
Yeah.
if
That's
someone's.
what I was saying. I have an issue with that, but using it
But
as an
this, yeah.
editor, yeah, of like, okay, these are my interpretations of the cards, and they just smarten up the language so it's readable, or like just a little bit that I see zero problem with that because we have natural editors in our, like even when we're writing emails and stuff like that, it will give us suggestions of how a sentence will just sound a little bit better
Mm.
and come
Mm.
across as a little bit better, but it's not changing the meaning of the sentence.
No,
I
no.
feel like
Does
you're more
that make
evolved in
sense?
this, and me and Carly are like stuck in the dark ages. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it all excites me because I want to be able to put my voice out into the world. And so I think the technology can help me put my voice out into the world better, but it will still be my voice.
Mm.
Does that make sense? But it gives yeah.
You know, I had the most random thought the other day. I sat there and I thought was I was thinking about, not withholding information in my brain and sat there and thought about the importance of not relying on technology for information gathering as much as we do. And I thought those that can, like my dad, who can retain information, I sat there and I thought, well, if we all have an apocalypse, my dad is the one I'm going to go and sit and pick their brains with. It'd be like human Google, wouldn't they? But all us people, all the people that rely on Google, when we have it, have an apocalypse and all the technology goes down and we have no bar phones and we have no shops. That sounds really dramatic, doesn't it?
But is that the
But
fear,
Yeah,
maybe?
but let's go
Is that
for it.
your fear? Yeah, I
you
wonder
know,
if that is your fear of like if we get too reliant and then it's taken from us, are
you
we
know,
going to all
and
be
we
fucked?
Yeah, I mean, but when you have that the apocalyptic dream where there's no shops and you've got to go out and chase your food and pick your food and things like that, how are you going to know what's safe to eat as a berry and what's not safe to eat? Well, I guess all right, go and ask my dad because he'll remember everything. And I don't know whether or not that's a past life or whether or not that's a guide that is going, because Mary, one of my guides, is very prominent on me remembering stuff. I think I probably frustrate her. Um, but I just sit there and wonder whether or not that's why, we should remember things. Because you sit there and think, well, technology can stop at a drop of a hat. And then
Mm.
what are we,
But that's
then what are we
often if you
going to do?
think of like kind of like elder witches, particularly when you write kind of grimoires or books of shadows, often it is for that reason, isn't it? To retain or to
Mm,
have that information documented for self,
mm,
but also for generations to come.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's being open. to where does our ego lie? So like, and I when I say ego, I don't mean it in a negative way, okay? But just like our reliance lies, right?
Mm.
Minnie's
Mm.
generation, their reliance, like my daughter, who's 12, her code of what she deems is totally different than mine. And when I remember growing up and my wants and how I pursued my life was totally different from my grandparents,
Mm.
right? We're constantly evolving. Society is
Yeah.
constantly changing. Now, is that a bad or good thing? I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
I think there's bad and good in both of it, but
Everything.
it's it's like what we deem important
Mm.
might not be important in the next 8 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
What we deem as, you know what I'm saying? And it's like what we deem ethical might change. Ethics might
Mm.
change. It's and that even me saying that made my inside my nervous system go a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be an interesting time. It's going
Mm.
to be but we're also in the age of Aquarius, which is that
Mm.
oneness, right? So this technology is going to take us into a oneness, but the age of Aquarius is that oneness of we all take care of each other, we all love each other, we
Mm.
see each other in a higher vibration than how
Mm.
we've been seeing each other. So I think uh, in my the way my mind works and the way I feel spirit is flowing through me with this is that we are going to evolve into a really, really nice place. It's going to be a rocky road because we're going to question ethics. We're going to question what's important to us as society. We're going to question what's important to us personally as people. We're going to, all these things are going to come up in us. And that is part of Uranus. He's the tower of the tarot. He shakes the shit out of
Mm.
everyone so that when the old falls and the new can start to grow. And
Mm.
so we could either look at it with fear or we can look at it with curiosity.
Mm.
And I really feel like Spirit's saying, Lucy, be curious because I can go into fear easily of,
Mm.
oh, my whole
Mm.
world is going to be shaken up. Well, maybe it's going to be shaken up for really good shit.
Mm.
And maybe we're going to be at the forefront of that. Who knows? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
word the mouth to people that are going, what the hell is going on here? You know?
And that's what I like with the tower card, because a lot of the time when people get that it's that instant fear, but often the tower can show or can create something beautiful, that the universe was giving you to naturally do it on your own, but you weren't. So it's shaking it for you to give you that room for change and expansion and evolving. We are here to
Mm.
evolve. We're
Yeah.
not here to stay on the
I
one
think.
vibration the whole way
Yeah.
through, are we?
I mean, I think the tower. When you were talking, funny enough, the tower card to me, I could just think of it. Somebody stood at the top and being able to see the whole 360 perspective.
Yeah,
So
the bigger picture.
you stood at the top and you can just see over the top and over the heads and over the trees and over the fuss of everything that's going on underneath your feet or not below you, wrong terminology, but do you know what I mean? What's
Mm,
going on below that site? It's like flying up through the clouds, isn't it? You can see over the top of the clouds and see a bit more perspective. That's
Yeah.
what, when you were talking, that's what the tower card I could see it. I was like, well, you can see a bigger picture from up there. You've got to watch it, it's a lookout post, isn't it? You can see what's
Exactly.
coming. You can see what's coming.
Yeah. Uranus is a shake up planet, but it shakes it up
Mm.
so that we can come into something new, you know? So it's going to be a bit of a woohoo like ride, I think, where and it's either you can go, "Oh my God," and just like, be
Unless you're
shit
Lucy and you
scared,
just go,
or you let
yeah.
go and just go woohoo. Oh, I bet you there's going to be times where I'm like, oh, what the hell's going on here? I know it. I'm already, last 4 weeks I've said to Mitch, I don't know how many times. I don't know. Like I've had so many tower moments.
mm,
It's just been tower after tower after tower, but I keep on holding on. That spirit's got something. It's pushing me towards something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it does. The tower gets you out of your laziness too. Like I've been like, I'll do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And then when fucking crunch hits, it's like, oh, I've got to do it. and I actually
Yeah.
want to do it, but I'm going to have to do it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm,
towers, it's not fun, but it's sometimes a necessity, you know?
definitely. Just
Mm.
let you know, guys, we're nearly on the witching hour.
No, were we? Oh, blimey. Just like that. Oh,
Oh,
crikey.
blimey. Oh, just like
Oh,
Well,
that.
blimey.
I
Oh,
love,
wasn't
when you
it?
guys said, let's talk about technology and stuff, I was like, yeah, today is the day because it's going to be different. It's going to be wild in the next day. I'm really excited because Minnie's at that age. She's going to be 20 when we come out of this, and that's
Wow.
wild to me. Like, I think about my age from 12 to 20. That's like a whole lifetime for me, that age
Yeah.
difference. And it's going to be a whole new way of being. And like someone was saying to me the other day about, you know, is the world getting worse or is it because we have technology that we're seeing the worstness of the world? That it was always,
That's another thought
that there
That's
pattern.
was always
interesting.
crime, there was always people being hurt, there
Mm.
was always wars between tribes and stuff like that. But now because we have technology, we see it.
See
And
I
so
more
it
of
think
it.
brings us,
it's more accessible, isn't it? So,
Mm.
so can that
Mm.
make us more loving? That we, when we see it, that we realize, oh, there's people suffering out there. And
Mm.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to, more empathetic, but not. So it is in a way evolving us.
mm.
Mm. Inter
You can
That's an
harden
interesting,
or you can.
yeah, that's an interesting comment. Now, I was talking, like you, Lucy, talking to somebody about access to media platforms. We were having the conversation with, I don't know if you guys have seen on Castle, BBC Points West, Castle has had problems with drones.
Okay.
Um, so there's lots of guidelines from certain boards about certain size drones. Um, but like on YouTube, there's like these people that go around, that's what they're called, the auditors, and they purposely go round standing on public footpaths with these drones under a certain size, flying them over industrial estates and factories and private land,
Oh, what,
which
like
they are
spying?
completely entitled to do, you know. And so when the security come out and go, you can't fly this drone here, they are all well within their rights to fly this drone because they're under the size limit of the drone, they're on a public footpath, da da da. But they're going out specifically to cause a hoo-ha. Because we then got on the conversation about children and youngsters or teenagers having access to that type of media like YouTube and things like that, and seeing how fellow human beings, adults, treat adults, and how the disrespect from, I mean, you guys are all of my age, if years ago, if we were told the policeman was going to come and take us home because we'd been naughty, you'd crap yourself, wouldn't you? Or if
Mm.
someone said, oh, there's a copper, you'd be like, whereas now, you
I
get
get that
some.
when I'm driving. If there's a policeman by me, I'm like, oh shit, what have I done?
Yeah, exactly. But you get teenagers now, I'm not saying all teenagers, but you get teenagers now that sit there and go, I'm perfectly within my rights.
Mm.
And it's just like, I wouldn't have said that to an adult when I'm 14, 15 years old, let alone to a copper. And is that because they have access to, and there's nothing wrong with watching these auditor videos because there's no violence in them, there's no sex, there's no drugs, they're not rated because no one's swearing. It's just someone standing there giving someone a bit of lip. And you just sit there and you think, is that losing teaching people to be, is there that form, whilst it might, opening up media might teach us older adults to be more empathetic and understand what's going on more in the world and more caring for our fellow human beings, is it scaringly teaching some of the next generation to be downright disrespectful? What's it teaching them? It's really, again, it's a
But that's a
balance, isn't it?
society, yeah, and that's a society thing. Like I took sociology my first year of psychology studying at university, right? And like we rely on society, but society's man-made. So this might even
Mm,
be something that comes into this in the next little while. It's shaking up how hierarchy is viewed. What is
mm,
respect?
It's
Mm,
interesting.
What is like this is Uranus shaking up everything, shaking up
mm,
how we view the world. For instance, you were talking about BBC. There's a big possibility that there will be no BBC, no CNN, no people are going
mm,
away. The younger generation are going away from those and going into the more smaller networks, the more
mm,
non-biased ones that aren't involved in politics.
mm.
When a lot of
Well,
those are like involved
Well,
in
news
politics.
biased.
it's been proven that some of the British tabloids were manufactured with a lot of the royal stories when Princess Di and Charles were alive. That's recently come to light that
Yeah.
they were fed they were fed certain things to enable there to be a story, and that's still gone on with Harry and Meghan and things like that. I
Oh yeah,
wouldn't do much of
politics
that,
and,
but
and news go
mm.
hand in hand.
and
Do
that
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
and
and
I'm
it's
not a
always been
conspiracy
manipulated.
theorist, but that, yeah, to me, I know that's manipulated. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Like, and I'm not a conspiracy. I don't go down rabbit holes, but
No.
that's an obvious one. Does that make sense to me?
Mm.
And
Mm.
But it's like look at
yeah. So
the Jimmy Savile stuff and like how much
Well, that
everyone
was all covered
knew.
up.
Yeah, everyone knew about it, but it was not spoken about, and it's only come out in the last however many
well,
years, and it's a huge thing, isn't it?
we're going through it right now. Jeffrey Epstein, these
Mm,
stupid Jeffrey Epstein files, right? And we all know, no matter how much he tries to distance himself, there is such a track record that Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were bosom buddies.
yeah.
They were close, close, close. There's
Mm.
video of him at these parties with girls, Trump with Epstein at these parties with young girls, and all this stuff. And, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It is just there, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, could a lot of what's going on in the world be, and I believe politics does this, it's been doing this for years, where they create something to keep our eyes off of what is really
What's
going on.
actually
And
going
that's
on?
not
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
conspiracy
yeah,
theory.
yeah, yeah.
That's not
No,
conspiracy
that's
theory. That is
no.
actually a way that they rock. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Mm.
That is just a well-known way that they rock, to
Mm-mm.
get people's eyes off of whatever's going on in
And
the
sell
background.
and sell pay and sell papers
Yeah,
and sell papers and
exactly.
move up, move news. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'll tell you right now, Gemini is communication, right? And Uranus and Gemini, what is media?
Oh, yeah, communication, isn't it?
It's
Communication.
communication.
Yeah.
It's going to be shook up. It's going to be massively shook up. So it'll be very interesting to see. Like I watched through all this Trump stuff. I watched um a YouTube channel that gets millions of views that's actually more on it with what's going on with Trump. Does that make sense? Or what's going on in the
Mm.
US than the actual, and I watch CNN too. I don't watch a lot of news, but I sometimes feel called by spirit and I'm usually bang on. It's really neat that I sit down and something major's happened that day, like really major, where I'm like, I need to be in the know of this kind of thing. I don't know why, but I do need to be in the know of it. And then I'll go weeks and weeks where it's just dribbly. I don't watch it. I don't feel to watch it, and then boom, something will,
Mm.
spirit will say it's time to like. I just get a craving to watch the news, and it's like something that really affects me, and I feel like I need to know. But yeah, this touch by Midas or Midas touch, they're called. They're really like they're on it. They're on it. And there's now tarot readers that do the whole political thing. And that's
Mm.
really interesting to watch too, of their predictions and astrology of what's going on in different worlds, even countries' charts. They even do like,
Mm.
so that's quite interesting too. But it's going to be a big shakeup, you guys.
Well,
Things are
I'm
going
going
to
to just
change.
hold on tight and enjoy the journey.
I'm really like I'm pumped. Like I am super pumped. It's going to be so cool what to see what because like I've been putting my stuff out on Facebook for ages and it's just no and like we've been struggling with YouTube and trying to get things and Spirit really showed me there's going to be a new technology that's going to come that's going to be like art. Do you know what I'm saying? It's going to be the way that's going to fit for what I need to get out there, and it could be for this too, because we
Mm.
know inside of ourselves, Spirit has shown us many times that this is going to be quite a thing for people. This podcast, and it's going to
Mm.
hit, and it's going to be well known, and we're still at
What were
like
the ideas we have for the
86.
future? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still at 86. But honestly, this Uranus and Gemini is going to shake things up, you guys.
Oh, watch this space.
Well, let Lucy sit in the front of the car, and me and you just sit in the back, shut our eyes, and hope
We'll
to come
just
out
be
the
in the
other
back,
end.
yeah. We'll let
We'll let
Lucy be the
Lucy
driver.
drive, and we'll just go,
Yeah.
This is when you need
Think about
college
it, Carly. I
drivers.
know you say but you message us while you're picking your pony shit up. You couldn't do that before. Where the wind, you're scrubbing a pub, and I could hear like the scrubbing and
Banking
stuff
of the
like that, and you're talking to me. You couldn't have done that before. Technology does have its place.
Yeah.
Planes.
Don't.
My grandfather was born when there was no planes. He took a boat for 6 weeks from England to Canada to
Oh,
move to
wow.
Canada with his family
Wow.
when he was 11. He lived through planes, then he lived through the television, internet, and he kept up with it all. He kept up with it all,
Yeah.
and he didn't let it bog him down. He looked at it. There was times where he was like, "Oh, this isn't that great." Like Facebook. He was on Facebook at 100. And he used it, but he did say, "Oh, I don't like how people are putting up all their dirty laundry, that kind of thing." And but like we said, the yin and the yang, you guys.
Mm.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Cool episode, guys. I like that one.
Yeah. Sorry, I got excited again.
So great.
I can't
Doesn't
wait
take a
for
lot
the
to get you
hologram.
excited,
Yeah,
Lucy.
I can't. It doesn't. It doesn't. I have a lot of pent up passions. I can't wait for the hologram where I'm sitting here and I'm like, code me to Gillingham. Then I can just go beep, and I'll be like
dear.
right beside you, and you can put your hand through me. Like what's her name? Is it Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi? You're our only hope. You know how like that
Oh,
kind of thing.
Layla.
Yeah.
Princess Leia.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah,
about, like
yeah.
holograms. Yeah. It'd be really
Yeah.
cool. Really cool. But we wanted to
That'll be
try
interesting.
astral projection together, Mitch, didn't we? We still haven't
Oh
done that.
yeah, we still have. We've been too lazy to try, but no, we need to.
I got plenty of mugwort if you want it. I got plenty of mugwort.
I was going to try it au naturel with just my but yeah, we were going to do it like wasn't it like to meet and see what our
We were
dreams
going
were
to
like.
see. Yeah, we were going to see if we can kind of like merge into dream time because you can do that. You can astral travel and your spirit can go wherever you want it to sort of travel to when you give yourself
Yeah.
permission.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
knew a
that's
Christian that did
doable.
that, actually a priest that he could have he swore he could astral travel, and he would go to different parts of the world where like earthquakes or this would happen, and he felt he was there.
Oh wow!
He was there helping. Yeah. So that's quite a neat thing.
There
Definitely.
you go. That'll be the next episode then, will it? Episode 27, when you two have been on a flying mission.
Yeah.
Well, see how we go. See if we get there first. Because I am quite a deep sleeper.
Sorry?
You got
I said I am quite a deep sleeper, so I might not even remember. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
My spirit may
Yeah.
have gone. I just may not remember.
Yeah, I'm quite a deep sleeper. I don't always remember. I remember my dreams more when I have a nap than I do
Oh, okay.
like a full-blown. I have very, very vivid dreams if I go for an afternoon nap.
Oh, I love an
Very
afternoon nap.
vivid. Yeah. And I like my vivid dreams in an afternoon nap. I really do. Yeah.
and a nap, huh?
On that
Yeah.
note, that's making me
On
feel
that
like I need a
note-
nap.
On that note,
All
I've
right,
got
you
to
guys.
go.
Well,
I've got to go do boring stuff.
yeah. Love and light, y'all. We'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Bye, everybody. Till next time.
Bye for now.